In 2018, I was the Prime Minister. I know of the meetings. Ranbert Wells was leading the charge in this. We were moving towards the establishment, discussion of the establishment of a mooring authority. We knew, just like we did, the overflight service, the fees, and projected that we'd make $50 million, which would have been earmarked for airports. The same principle applied. The $40 to $50 million were going to be earmarked for the Family Island. Check the record. Another example of PLP dealings that are good for them and not for the people is the scandal in Exuma regarding the Bahamas Mooring Limited. Sit down and listen. The company was given a seabed lease, I will go slow, of approximately 4,600 acres in Exuma to install moorings. The government has had to cancel a deal with the company because of all kinds of irregularities, secret dealings, and conflicts of interest. It was just the latest scandal in a party known for their corruption. The company in question had not received the required legal permits, yet it was doing physical works in Exuma. Listen to me. Additionally, the Deputy Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister signed the lease for the deal as a witness of Bahamas Moorings. Her husband is the president of Bahamas Moorings. The government had to quickly backtrack and stop the secretive deal. There were many questions about what was going on in Exuma and who all was involved in it. Clearly, Mr. Deputy, clearly, there was a conflict of interest with the Prime Minister's Deputy Communications Director serving, on the one hand, as a government official, and on the other, as an agent of Bahamas Mooring. Question is, was she a double agent? And how many other double agents are within the confines of the Office of the Prime Minister? As a result of her actions and this conflict of interest, she must do the honorable thing and resign as Deputy Director of Communications. In fact, the Prime Minister should demand her resignation immediately. Mr. Deputy, if the Prime Minister does not demand her resignation, it would mean that he condones such conflicts of interest in his administration. It is the Prime Minister who must clean up the mess from this scandal. If he does not, it is clear what message he is sending to the Bahamian people. Is there anyone else? Listen, I'll speak clearly. Is there anyone else in the Prime Minister's office who may have a conflict of interest or who may need to resign? There was something shady about this deal. Bahamians wonder who all had beneficial interest in what was happening in Exuma. Were there other government officials involved? And if so, who are they? Now, I don't ask questions, I know answers now. I call on the Prime Minister to fully disclose all that occurred with the government and Bahamas Mooring. We must remember that the Prime Minister signed the lease. Accordingly, he has a direct responsibility to the country and to Parliament to tell us who was involved in this deal from the approval process to who was going to benefit. Give the Bahamian people a full accounting of what was transpiring with their national asset of seabed of Exuma, some of the most pristine waters in the world. Now, Mr. Deputy, I want all Bahamas to listen to me carefully. Take a hand from my chin, listen. In 2018, in 2018, Mr. Deputy, in 2018, my government met and had discussion with respect to moorings. My government was discussing about the introduction of a mooring authority, this 2018, and a PPP, where funds from the mooring authority would go to the respective family islands, the local government, so as to improve development and assist the family islands. That's where we were placing the money. An authority with 2018. I was Prime Minister, he's Prime Minister, he can check the records. He can check the records. The funds were to go to the local government. But Mr. Deputy, what was most important at that time, listen very carefully, at that time was estimated that the income would be about $40 to $50 million a year, 2018. 40 to 50 million per year. These few oligarchs who put such program together with a 25-year lease, you're talking about, now listen carefully, $1.25 billion. $1.25 billion to the so-called oligarchs. The Bahamian people want to know why monies could not go to local government on authority as we were planning. The records are there. I'm speaking as a former Prime Minister now. This is similar to what is happening with Bahamas Grid. This is similar to what's happening with Bahamas Grid. With Bahamas Grid, distribution and transmission, the BPL lines, the government would have infused its asset, which was worth about $100 million, and that $100 million gave the government 40% of Bahamas Grid, distribution and transmission. The oligarchs put in $30 million and got 60% of the company. Now, yes, another $100 million had to be raised, and therefore that $100 million went as bonds, $100 million at 8% went as bonds. But, Mr. Deputy, the financial statements, proposals, projections by Kalina for Bahamas Grid projected that at the end of the lease, they would make approximately $500 million, facts. So the question the Bahamian people want to know, are they the same oligarchs with Bahamas Grid who would make almost $500 million over their lease time? And are they the same individuals who will make $1.25 billion over their lifetime? These are very, very disturbing, Mr. Deputy. Mr. Deputy? Mr. Deputy? You got 5 minutes. And you got 5 minutes? Mr. Deputy, at that time, in 2018, the individuals are still there. In 2018, Exuma, we thought would become the Bahamian boating Riviera. Swimming pigs, swimming with sharks, dripping caves of Exuma, turtles, and Farmers Key.